There he is. I told you he'd be on two wheels.
Hello.
Hey, Dale.
Hello, Dr. Lamb.
Now, exit full screen. Turn my sound on. Let me try this again. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Dr.
How's everybody?
Hey. Hello.
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 What's going on?
Dr. Revis, I see you. Hey, hey.
What a bunch.
Hey, Dr. Stedman.
I'll send you an agenda in just a little bit, just so that we'll have a framework.
Sounds good.
All right.
There's Rod. Rod, I appreciate that request. I mean, that kind gesture the other day. I had already scheduled things with them, and I was going in that direction anyway, but I appreciate you.
Okay, no problem. I just know that Stansburg's right near me, and
Yeah.
Sometimes they get confused a little bit, but that's all right.
Well, I saw another one in Hope County, and that's right beside me, but I don't have that person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes those things are, it's oversights, and when we look at things, but
right.
But anyway, I try to go ahead and get everything scheduled and get it out of the way as soon as possible. So hopefully by a week and a half, I'll have all mine done.
Mm-hmm. Understand.
All right. Is everybody doing well this evening? Everybody have a good holiday?
I worked.
Yeah, we kicked off the, I don't know if you noticed when you crank up Web Connect, the president signing an agreement with Walmart. He reminds me of the garden club ladies in Rutherford when I was first a teacher. Principal came to me and said, I need for you to load up your biology students on the activity bus and go over here to the northern city limit on 221 in Rutherford. We're going to kick off this campaign, this town beautification campaign. And we're going to meet, your students will be over there, and we're going to pick up trash through town. That's back before, you had sections of highways where we picked up trash, and we were going to do this beautification. We went over there, and all these society ladies, they were all over there, and they had their hats and bonnets on and their gloves and their work clothes. Oh, we posed for all these pictures, me and the students. And when the pictures was over, they handed us the bags and got in the car and left, and it was us to pick up the trash. Well, that's the Walmart partnership. And so they signed all the paperwork, got all the pictures, got all the pub, and left us to show up at Walmart and start working today. So I've been at the Walmart Distribution Center in Shelby. We're doing some staff development training with them. And so, but it's strange. It's funny how the world there's nothing new in the world. It rolls back around to you. So we started that today. So that's going to be the next 7 weeks on Monday and Wednesdays. Thankfully, I only have one section of Mondays and Wednesdays to have to do. And so, so I've had a good day. I got to go over to the distribution center today. It was good. It was a lot of fun. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being with me. Tonight's just kind of a general information section to see where everybody is. First thing I wanted to cover is the schedule, which I'm not at all happy about, but, that's such is life, I guess. Again, the undergraduates took a big hit at Christmas. They had 52 that didn't show back up. So that's a big hit on their budget. So they're looking for ways to cut. And so this is what they've come up with. I've already talked to all of you, hopefully, or most of you about this. And so the sections that I have highlighted here, they're going to collapse. I objected. The dean of the school objected. I talked, but this went all the way up to Webb Hall. I don't know who in Webb Hall, associate provost. President, somebody has made the decision. So Dr. Sanders' C10 section got collapsed into the others. Dr. Todd's section of 601 regular got collapsed into Dr. Church's. These classes are now overloaded, but that's just the way of the world, I guess. Dr. Neal's section, 05 section, going to be collapsed into the other two sections. They'll both be like 24 or 25, but not happy about that. And Dr. Sanders' section, same thing. So she'll have two sections with something like 25 in each of them. But they've got to try to figure out a way to make up money, and they have to look at the programs that are making money. I guess you can't get blood from a turnip. So we took a big hit on classes being collapsed this spring. So I appreciate what you do. I know it's going to be tough because you're going to be overloaded. Turnaround time on work, it's going to be difficult with that many in classes. It's difficult to manage that many in classes. The regular classes all exceed 20, which is there had been a policy approved that we would move those down to 15. Not only did they're ignoring that or decided not to go along with the 15 and all master's classes, they went back to the 20, and now they're saying that the new policy is they can exceed that 20 by 10%, except unless the number's bigger than that. And so now we're exceeding by 15 or 20%. So, I asked them to tell me what the number was, and basically the answer was, ever how many you have, that's how many the limit will be. So I can't understand how they don't see how that affects the quality of your program, but I don't think they really care. They took $1 million hit in the second half of the year's budget over students not showing up. Now, we told them, the data surveyors group from Institutional Effective, which I'm a part of, told them early on last semester that this was going to happen because we'd already done satisfaction surveys, net promoter scores with the new freshmen, and they were not happy. And they got more unhappy as the semester went along. They started out 3 weeks in at a negative net promoter score of -4, which is not good. And by the end of the semester, when we did the exit survey at the end of the fall semester, the undergraduates were a -20 on the net promoter score. And that's the two questions. Would you do this again, or would you recommend this to somebody else? And we already had a -20 that said, I wouldn't do this again. So that usually means that they're not coming back in the spring. We tried to tell them that early on. I don't know if they didn't believe it, or, of course, they all screamed fake news, bad data. But it turned out to be what we told them, that it was going to be a historical drop in the enrollment. And so this is the comeback. Is that it's not just us. I got a double. The two classes, 738 in DEOL. I was teaching one and training the new person in the other, and both of those got collapsed. And so we've got this weekend. I had got to have 14 in class this weekend in doctoral statistics, which is pretty heavy lifting. So it's hit everybody all across the graduate. If you had numbers in graduate programs, your classes got collapsed. If you had more than one section, to try to make up for the shortfall that is the undergraduates. I think that's a bad system, but I can't get anybody to understand that that's just burning the candle at both ends. But it is what it is. We will go forward and do the best that we can. That's all I can tell you that we'll do. Attendant to that, I have Mark, Barbara, Phyllis, John, Steve, Marie, Rod, and Cindy on the list to get folks who will be evaluating for us. The new ones that we got this spring, I will divvy those out. I can't divvy them out. I've got 3 things that I'm waiting on role verification to do. I can't divvy out the evaluation. I can't until they're actually in task stream, the new ones. I can't assign evaluators until they're in task stream. They can't be in task stream until they're role verified. I talked with the registrar this morning. She wasn't in the office, but I was able to get her. They've delayed role verification, which would normally have been today, because they're trying to give students longer to make a decision to attend because of these money issues. She said today to me, it may be next week before role verification. They're holding off as long as possible, thinking that they might get more students to commit the longer they wait until roll verify before we no-show or before we add. So drop add and roll verification has been extended. I don't know right now. She said she couldn't give me a date. I'm thinking it's going to be hopefully next Monday. Don't know that for sure, but that holds us up on getting students in task stream, assigning evaluators. It also holds me up on the clinical shells for 601. For those of you who are coaching a section of 601, either regular or add-on, I can't put those students in your shell until they're verified. I do that. Now, I've got everybody else's already done. The continuing students, I can put them in. I manually drop those in. I've already done that. So check your shells. So, for example, Karen Sumner, she's going to be coaching Lisa Barnes 603 add-on section C2. Those students are already be in her clinical shell. Now, remember, we don't use those 698 shells because that does not meet the CAPE requirement for a continuous repository of their work. Those shells disappear every semester, just like class shells. I created a few years back the clinical shells because we are required to keep a repository of their work. And that's what those continuous shells don't go away every semester. That data doesn't go away. And so if you've got a 602 through 605 section that you're coaching, I've already gone in, cleaned out your shells of the ones that are gone now, that have either graduated or completed the add-on licensure program, and I've added your new ones in. So double check those, and that's all courses 602 through 605. I've already done that. I can't do 601 until we roll verify. They won't pop up for me to add them in Blackboard until they're roll verified. They're still hanging out there in limbo land. So when I go to your shell, it says find student, and I can add students to your roster using the users and group function. It won't let me add them until they've been roll verified. So as soon as that happens, as I said to Luann this morning, as soon as it happens, I'll be right on that. That puts Seth on hold, putting the new ones in task stream as well until they're roll verified. Hopefully we'll get that done. That, of course, causes us problems when you're out making your site visits because they don't have a task stream account yet. I don't know when they're going to get a task stream account. But she could not give me a definitive answer when roles are going to be verified. Now, to that end, Sarah sent me an email this morning asking about a couple of students. Let's see what it is. Sarah sent me one this morning asking about a couple of students, and I did ask. I asked the registrar about them. They've not shown up yet, but we can't drop them until roll verification. And you know, when you go into your Blackboard shell, this is my CH shell, and you go to Full Grade Center, you can see which students have not been in Blackboard. And for us, let me move this out of the way. As you can see, my CH section, they've all EVA'd. They're all here. They've all been in Blackboard. They're already doing their discussion boards. I could verify that group and move on, but we haven't gotten to roll verification. But look at the EVA, but also more importantly, look at this last access to make sure that they've actually been in your shell. If they've been in, even if they've not EVA'd, if they've been in, I would not no-show them. Because they actually go by last access rather than the EVA itself. So you can check all your courses and know. So when it comes time for role verification, go to all of your classes and pop this up. Now, for the 698s, go ahead and whatever's on the list, verify them, because that's a clinical. It really doesn't matter. I think they've stopped even putting role verification in the clinical in the 697 and 698. I don't even think they're doing that. I could check one of mine and see, but so on 697, 698, go ahead and verify all of them there that are on your list. On your class list, go to Full Grade Center, check the date of your last access. If they've been in, even if they've not VA'd, go ahead and declare them as present as attending. The only no-show is if it's blank where it says last access. If they've not been in this semester, then we'll no-show them when it comes time for role verification. All right, I'm sure that's clear as mud, but anybody have any questions on that? Remind me to thank Dr. Kathy. She's with us tonight. I want to thank her for the information and materials that she shared on assisting you with your visits, on your clinical visits. We've got a few that'll need a second visit. I usually try to contact that person directly if they've got a new principal or if they've changed places. Other than that, you can just Zoom with your continuing people. You don't have to visit the ongoing interns. And again, the comeback, the repeaters, you don't have to visit them unless they've changed schools or got a new site supervisor. But all of our new ones will need a visit. Dr. Revis has shared the materials. They're wonderful that you can use to help you with those visits. I appreciate you getting out there and seeing those folks. We want to try to get those done, according to the weather as quickly as we can. It certainly allays the fears. We've had 2 today or yesterday and today to drop. That it really helps. Those visits really helps the ones that are shaky, to keep them from dropping. So if you can get out there, the quicker you visit them, the quicker we kind of get them in. Of course, we're working with them Tuesday and Thursday night to try to calm their fears down. I see a lot of emails flying back and forth. They're scared. All of a sudden, all the other things in their life, and some of them, quite honestly, do need to drop. They thought it was going to be going to be kind of like please don't think that I'm being pejorative. They thought it was going to be like a ladies drop-in shower, just come by when you wanted to and leave when you wanted to, and you didn't really have to do anything. Some of them didn't understand the level of commitment that it was going to take. And the drop-ins, we don't need them. We need for them to get in and dig and go. We all know if you beg them to stay, it's not going to go well. I mean, I'm preaching Dr. Stedman's sermon now. If you have to beg them to stay or tell them, we just have to tell them, this is a decision you'll have to make. But now the work's not going to get any less during the programs. It's not like there's a lot to do at the front and then it's going to get easier. No, the work's going to be consistent all the way through. And we're going to do gradual release, as Doug calls it. I call it intentional abandonment, but we're going to do that. So, they're going to have to step up more during the program rather than less. So that's kind of what I had tonight. I don't want to take a lot of your time. I appreciate you being with me. We'll get more into specifics later. We're kind of on hold until role verification happens. So I guess we'll try to meet again next Monday, and hopefully role verification will be happening by then. If not, we'll go from there. But I want to thank Steve Stone for getting the visit list out and getting those grouped and getting you started on those. Is there anything you need from me to help you do your job?
No, Dale, I think you hit the nail on the head, and Rod communicated with me this weekend. I know he's on top of his. I think the key is getting out there this week if we can. I've got 3 visits tomorrow. And just, I think if we could ever see them, and I talked to one Friday for about over an hour, talked him off the ledge, but he was fine after that, and I think that's what it took. So I think right now it's, just whatever we can to
Yeah.
to take care of them right now. I think that's
Yeah.
what we have to do this week and next week.
Yeah.
Dr. Lamb, you said that
Yes.
you had 2 that had dropped. Could you send us the names of those so we won't try to visit them?
Yeah. They when the withdrawals forms come through, Steve is supposed to send those out to you. I'll
Okay.
remind him to do that. And communicate. If he doesn't, I will.
Okay.
The ones that have dropped.
I had Muriel Wright and Sean Quinn drop today.
Okay. When you get those, normally they're supposed to copy me. I'm not sure that, I know they didn't on those 2. But if you get a drop from your classes, if you'll just forward those emails to me and to Steve Stone. He's William Stone, W Stone 1, W Stone 1, Steve Stone, so that we can get that word out to folks not to visit them. And I'll be in the morning, and hopefully Steve will be in, and we'll skull session a little bit on this and make sure, since we've got this extended time for verification. I don't know that they seem to understand the longer you go to verification, the longer they got to drop as well. So I'm not I'm not sure they ever took inferential statistics, but I don't know. They might have. It's kind of like the old. I have to try to explain some different functions in statistics. And one of them I use is, one of the functions in statistics is luck. When you retest kids right after they take a test and give them the opportunity, if they're just a few points below passing, give them an opportunity to retake the test, that's just luck because you haven't done any additional instruction. And you can't count those in your overall pass rate because you gave the group that was a little bit below passing a chance to get lucky on a retest. You did not give the group that was just a little bit above passing a chance to be unlucky. So that I don't think they understand that part. So if you give people longer to enroll, you also give them longer to drop. So they need to come to my class, and I would diagram that out for them. So I don't think it's going to be the boon in enrollment that they think it's going to be. I think that the net effect is the longer you wait to verify, the more you'll have drop, because they can drop without getting charged. You understand that roll verification, the day that the roll was verified, they owe us money, and it's prorated. The longer you wait to verify, the longer they've got to drop without having to pay. So I don't think they understand that the door swings both ways. They're just looking at it from the longer we wait, the more might come in, but the more might leave because there's no penalty for leaving.
Dale, one request for CC1, when y'all meet with your students, will you just remind them to make sure they check the Gardner Webb emails and to respond back to us?
Yeah.
We've even put it in the shells. They're looking for your email from your CC1 that's going to make a site visit, and we'll remind them again in class this week and coaching session this week. We'll be on them again. Thank you, Rod, for reminding me. Yeah, we put that in the shells, and we're big on that. Somebody's going to be in touch with you. If you hadn't heard, we're going to start this week. If you hadn't heard from them, let us know. We'll start that probably Thursday, Danny. We're going to cover that.
Yes, we can.
I think that's on the agenda for Thursday. So by Thursday, if they hadn't heard from you, they're supposed to let us know.
If you don't mind, tell them to check their spam folder, because sometimes it'll get caught in there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If they're using their school email, I mean, if they're running their Gardner Webb email to their when they log into their school email, a lot of times their school email will catch Gardner Webb emails as spam. They've got to open up Gardner Webb email separately. we'll make sure that we hit that with them again on Thursday. You know, so.
Dale, these 5 people, I've got Valerie Pridgeon dropped today. So if anybody's got Valerie Pridgeon,
Right.
she's in South Carolina. So that may be Rachel's student. And then
She's in Florence.
Robin said Sean Quinn, Tracy Westmoreland dropped on the 17th. Muriel Wright dropped today. Elendria Molina Evans dropped today. That was in Dr. Revis's class. That's all I've got so far.
I think that's the 5. I believe I've seen emails about that, but I haven't gotten the drop notices on all of them.
Yeah, I got something from the registrar's office.
Yeah, that was the one that she called me about this morning, and I had to get up from my Walmart meeting. You better take the call from the registrar.
Yeah.
And I also had Misty Moore.
Okay. I hadn't seen that one. But see, I get copied in on their emails when they want to drop, but I don't. Normally, I get the notification that comes that they have dropped from the registrar's office. But remind them, if they're going to drop, they need to go to Web Connect, registration, withdrawal from graduate program. Because if they're still there, even though they said, well, I'm dropping, if they haven't executed that process, when verification happens, they're going to send them a bill. And that bill is pretty stiff up front. It's like $1,200. If you verify, you owe them $1,200. Even if you don't stay much longer, you still owe them money. So Web Connect, registration, withdrawal from graduate program. There's a form in there. That goes to the registrar, and she wants that official form before she'll pull them, because they're beginning to be a stickler. You know, they think maybe if the student doesn't fill that out, maybe they'll have a change of heart. And so they're pretty much requiring her to have that form before she can, even though they might send an email. We might call until the student does that form. They don't want to drop them. They think that maybe they'll change their mind. And so, in tough economic times, we've got to be sure, because we don't want people getting sent bills for things that they didn't do. If they want out, you know, that's if they need to get out, then they need to get out. But the problem comes when we want to send them a bill.
Danny, did you share that list a while ago? Were you the one that said the names that had dropped?
I named 5 people, yes.
Okay, would you do it again? I'm sorry.
Okay, yes. Okay, hold just a second.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Valerie Pridgeon, Sean Quinn.
I got that one.
Tracy Westmoreland. Muriel Wright. And then Elendria Molina Evans. And then Kathy had another name.
I got hers, yes.
Okay.
Whose was Kathy's? I'm going to write this down.
Is it Miss?
Mine was Misty Moore.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's.
I don't know how I missed that one, Kathy, because I should have gotten that as well, and I didn't get that one. But anyway.
Well, I mean,
It came in last week, Danny.
Yeah. Now, I reminded the registrar this morning on these 601s, when they drop their course, they need to drop the internship as well. And that's probably, Danny, why you didn't get that notice.
I got the others, though.
Yeah, and I reminded her this morning, if you pull them from 601, you need to pull them from 697 if they're regular masters, and 698 if they're add-on licensure. Otherwise, they'll charge them that internship as well.
Yeah.
And that they charge hours on that just like they do the course. The 690, the new master students taking 697, they charge them 1 hour. The 698s, as you know, the add-on licensure students, they get charged 2 clinical hours. And they're now charging the same rate for clinical as they are for class. So it's about $500 and something an hour. So if they don't drop their $698 before verification, they charge them like $1,100 plus a port fee. It's about $1,200 altogether if you don't drop your clinical piece. If you just thought, well, I'm dropping out of the class, well, they got to drop the clinical as well. And so I reminded her when she sees those coming in to take them both out of the 601 section they're in and the 697 or 698. So that way, coaches, you'll get notified at the same time. There's Steve. I didn't see Steve. And so, Steve, you and I'll get together tomorrow and make sure that we have a system in place for these drops. And I want to go over the list and look at the list again tomorrow to make sure that we don't visit people who are trying to visit people who have already dropped.
Right. And Dale, I wanted to mention that too. I don't get any notice when people drop.
I know. We got to figure out a
it,
system. For some reason,
right.
I'm not getting them right now as well. I'm supposed to be their advisor on both their class and their clinical for that, specifically for that purpose. So I'll get the emails when they drop. And that's why I said this morning, she wasn't in the office, but I'm not getting that. That's one of the things that we talked about this morning. And we need to have a system in place where we know so that we can not send people out knocking on doors and nobody home.
Sure.
To use a metaphor here. So yeah, we'll handle that. I mean, we do this every semester. In the past, it doesn't seem like I've had as many problems with this kind of thing, but I don't. Again, they're trying to not drop people until they absolutely have to, thinking they'll hopefully change their mind. Used to be they could just email the registrar. Now she says she has to get the form before she can pull them out and not charge them. So, and we could call, but no more calls, no more emails. Have to fill out the form.
601 out on people will not change their mind if they decide they're not.
I know that, and that's what. But she says that they're holding her feet to the fire, that they want that form filled out. And I said, well, they're not going to change their mind. I mean, once they tell you, you know, they pretty much they disappear. But you know, they're grasping at straws on the financial end piece of this thing. I mean, that's pretty much what's happening. Again, so hopefully by next Monday we'll be in roll verification, and it could come out earlier. I mean, the earlier the better for me. That we go ahead and roll verify. I don't think waiting any time is going to help one way or the other. But we'll see how that goes. But somebody has convinced somebody somewhere that it would be financially beneficial to delay verification and not withdraw students until they fill out the form. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, Dale, if they would notify these students, especially these first-time students, earlier, I don't think we would be losing as many students.
We wouldn't be, but that would require people to work. That would require effort. See, that's the part you forgot about. That would require effort. We'd have to come in, so we'd have to come in during the last half of December or the first week of January. I mean, that's an unreasonable expectation that you actually ask us to work for pay. My great goodness.
Right.
What are you going to be asking me for next? Did I actually do something when I come in?
But if they knew at least a month ahead of time,
just unreasonable.
I think we could save a lot of them. I really
that staff group goes home when the undergraduates do. I've never understood that. How's a group that works in the graduate school go home when the undergraduates do and don't show back up until the graduates do? And so they were gone for 3.5 weeks. And now Steve, I'm not going to throw Steve under the bus, but Steve would verify that when we left for Christmas, we had 66 students registered. And when the first day of classes started for grad, we still only had 66 students registered. We didn't do any registrations or notifications during that 3.5 week period.
And Dale, we only got to the 90 on Friday, last Friday.
They didn't start even looking to start registering until sometime. I mean, classes started last Monday. They didn't even start looking to register students till Wednesday. The other 35 that weren't registered. They didn't even look at them until Wednesday. I don't know what they did on Monday or Tuesday either. Now, they told us the week before on Wednesday that it was all hands on deck. I don't know what they were doing, but they wasn't registering students. So we didn't get any registered that week, and we didn't get any registered this past week until they started on Wednesday, and didn't get them all in until Friday. So I don't know. But yes, Danny's exactly right. If they would come in and work, you could work the day or two the week of Christmas, and we worked, Jeff and I and some of the folks, we came in and worked 3 days a week of New Year's. We worked 3 days that week. I forgot that piece about that you should just take all this time off. I don't know. Maybe we're working too hard. Maybe that's our problem. Maybe we're doing too much instead of not enough. But it doesn't seem to me like that we don't understand workflow. I mean, that group that registers students, they can take the whole month of February off for my part. I mean, we don't need them in February. I need them in December and January. But they want the holidays, and so. But you're right, Danny. We would lose a lot less if we got them registered earlier. All the students could have been registered before we went home. People went home for Christmas, but we didn't. And you know as well as I do that last group of 30 or 35, that's where the bulk of the drops will come from. I mean, some of them didn't even get in classes till later, missed the first class session last week. And that doesn't help you in terms of retention. I mean, we've done this all of our careers. This group, they haven't. And so we could help them if they'd let us. But again, it's a cultural thing in terms of expectations, performance. Because there's no law or policy that regulates their behavior, they think that means we don't have to. But if you're concerned with enrollment, I believe I would do things a little bit differently. But that's kind of up to them. As I say every day, 2 things every day. I'm surprised the door's still open and this crowd couldn't work for me. I'd done fired the whole bunch. I'd been by myself. I'd been doing it all. I'd been so mad, I'd have fired the whole crowd. I have not mellowed in my old age, as you can see. I don't think that will ever happen. I will not live to be a much older man, I'm afraid. But that's okay. Anybody have anything else? I've gone 5 minutes over already on this mini rant tonight. I appreciate all that you do for me and for our students. I really do. We had a good week of class last week. I want to brag on my 2 that had to put up with me, Doug and Jackie. We had a good time last week. We didn't lose any of our students. They all came back. They're all doing their work. They've all verified. I'm amazed. I'm simply amazed. Just like I told my doctoral students yesterday morning after I stayed with them all day Saturday and kept them from 9 to 4, didn't even let them go to lunch. I was amazed when they showed back up on Sunday. So we had a good week last week. I hope that you did. I appreciate what you do. I'll be in touch this week. Steve, I'll see you in the morning. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.